Last night on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Chris Mueller, PGH, and Penguins lose the game tonight to, I think, an up-and-coming Detroit team. Chris, this is a team that has added some players, some speed specifically to their lineup. Steve Yzerman trying to build that thing, and they're much better than they've been in recent years. They took it to the Penguins for 2 periods, too little, too late. They made a comeback, but they lose tonight. And there are multiple issues for one game. At least I want to start with what I thought was a bad pairing of Chad Ruhwedel and P.O. Joseph. I thought those guys did not have a good night at the office.
No, they got snowed in, I thought, all game. I'm with you watching this whole thing and then kind of listening to some of the aftermath. I think there's a lot that you could get into. Those guys were bad. I think that when you have Letang and Carlson on the ice for 80% of the game, the ask for your third pair should honestly just be don't get destroyed out there. The ask should be just kind of hold the fort, because one of the other two guys that's an elite puck mover is going to be back out there in 45 seconds or so. But they got caught multiple times with that pair on the ice. I think at least one time on a power play where they were trying to kill a penalty, and they got crushed. The bigger issue for me, Bob, is the Penguins' power play. At least that's my A1. There's a bunch of things I could cite from this game, but that first power play, Penguins are up 1-0. Beautiful play. Malkin to Smith to Malkin. Looks like a nice connection building there. They get a power play, and it's just a horrible, disjointed, ugly mess. They don't get a shot. They can barely get into the zone. I don't know about you. I don't necessarily believe in momentum per se, but I do believe that hockey teams can get going because of a good power play, or that teams can really get going and get their legs under them and get motivated because they have a good penalty kill. I think that's what happened. I think that bad first power play really set the tone for the next, 35 minutes of action.
Yeah, and they hardly got any action at all in front of the net. No really great chances there. And, they're not I think they went 0 for 3 tonight on the power play. They didn't get many chances, but bottom line is when you have this sort of wealth of offense, you need to take advantage of it. You'll see Detroit now, I think they're 6 of 12, and they made quick work when they got their first power play chance. It took 17 seconds. Simple stuff, really, Chris. Go to the front of the net. David Perron pounces on a rebound. I thought that was kind of a generous rebound by Jari, who I don't think played all that well tonight, quite frankly. I looked at his game. He did make a nice penalty save on a penalty shot by Andrew Kopp, but other than that, I thought Husso outplayed him. He had to, because there were some great chances late in the game.
Yeah, that's been another story twice now. As a guy who thought Jari was going to hit at least 30 wins this year, there's 2 separate occasions where you can say at the very least, did he play poorly? Maybe he did. Did he get outplayed by the opposing goalie? Definitely. The opener in this game. I'm not going to get too deep into the hockey advanced stats, but they got a pretty nice one, I think, that's pretty simple. They call it expected goals allowed. I'm not going to even try to explain to people how they come up with it. No, but I'm serious. But they say, based on the quality of chances and everything else, quality of chances, etc., and it's kind of a layman's term. Should this guy have made the save? And so based on when it was 4-1, by that metric, it should have been about 1.5 to 1. So maybe he should have let in 2 goals. But yeah, I would agree with you. It backs up the basic notion that he just straight up wasn't very good, got outplayed. And I keep coming back to this, though, Bob. They have assembled all this offensive talent on that power play. They need to find an identity other than 5 really elite offensive players who are all probably, or most of them, going to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame someday. They have to get an identity in how they're going to do things, and they are absolutely going to live by the sword, die by the sword with that power play, too. That's the other thing. One other issue, Bob. I don't know about you. This is an issue through 4 games. Their bottom 6 hasn't done anything. Forwards, nothing.
No
it's
goals.
Been all the top 6.
Right.
The top 6 has actually been as advertised. The top 4 defensemen, they've been as advertised. The bottom 6 has done absolutely nothing. Tyler Kennedy was on with me today on the PM team. He suggested Matt Nieto needs to be a third-line player. Sullivan made that move mid-game. I think they played well in the third period. After that, that was one of the things that happened that maybe set them off, a little desperation, but they've got to get something from their bottom 6, too.
Here's one of the things that frustrates me, and we're out of time here, but I'm going to just throw this out before we go to break. Guys like Radim Sahorna, who was really good in the preseason, guys like Alex Nylander, they really don't have a chance. I don't care how well they play, because they already figured this lineup out before they ever took the ice for training camp. And you can say that about a lot of sports when you have a stacked roster. But that bottom 6 I thought was going to be better, and you're right. They haven't been. And if this continues, they need to use some other people there. It's as simple as that. So Here is our GMC Sierra X of the night, and this is from Pro Football Focus. TJ Watt has been dominant this season. Yes, he has 8 sacks, 27 pressures. The grades are good on him, as they are really with Alex Highsmith, who's got more pressures than that. And you knew that wasn't going to be a problem, but they've had other problems, like stopping people in the middle of the field with some of their cornerbacks. It also leads to this, and again, for whatever you believe in PFF, because some of the times I frustrate myself trying to figure out what they do, but they do it every single week, and they go into great detail, and I respect that kind of hard work, but I just sometimes don't understand it. However, Ahkello Witherspoon and Kevin Dotson, according to their metrics, are having really good years after the Steelers departed with them, Chris.
Well, can I give you my editorial on PFF? And
sure.
I guess, full disclosure, I subscribe to their elite service. I pay the money every year so that I can access the grades, and Joe Starkey on Mondays after Steelers games can then text me asking for the grades instead of paying for it for himself. But that's another story for another day. Oh, yeah. Oh, here, I'm throwing little darts. Yeah, Joe likes to be the dart guy. Here's a couple for Joe. Pay for it yourself one of these days, pal. No, anyway, what PFF does is when they give a good grade to a Steeler who people around here think played well in a game, then PFF's great. When they tell you that by their metrics, TJ Watt is good, but that other people are playing better, people get mad at it here. If it doesn't match up what the eye test tells you, people get mad. But, yeah, their situation right now with Dotson, it's an indictment on their coaching, on their evaluation there. I think he was in Mike Tomlin's doghouse, even though he was their best and most talented run blocker last year. And then Witherspoon's confusing, especially in light of Desmond King. You know, they bring in King. He seems like an obvious upgrade. And then it's not, it doesn't work out. He plays one snap on defense, and it was one where they gave up a touchdown. One other thing, Bob. I just want to say, whoever makes the graphic that calls it tweet of the night while you call it X of the night, I'm on the side of the person doing the graphic. You can't make this X thing happen.
Well, it appears on the screen. I just see the X.
I'm firmly on the side. I'm firmly on the side of the tweet of the night crowd here. I'm never going to call that site X because that's what that doofus owner of the site wants me to do, and I'm not going to do it.
I get it.
One other thing, Bob.
Now, go ahead. What up?
Well, listen. I know you're a pro, and I know in your mind you're doing the pro thing there. But I think you've got to rage against the machine in this particular case and call it the tweet of the night. One other thing to note here. I think this could be a disaster matchup for the Steelers. You point out all the stuff. I know that's a TJ Watt tweet or tweet of the night, X of the night, whatever. You point out their defensive backs, Bob. This is a Rams team that goes 11 personnel a lot. That means they're going to stress your cornerbacks. And I heard today Patrick Peterson talk like he might be sliding inside. You might see more Joey Porter, but it could be Peterson and Cooper Kupp. All respect to Patrick Peterson. That's advantage Cooper Kupp if that's how it shakes out.
Yeah, it's not just him. It's Puka Nacua. It's the way, it doesn't matter who runs the ball. They have the scheme that seems to work. So it's a big, tall assignment. Let's get to the phone lines, beginning with Will in McKees Rocks, who joins us on line 3. Hey, Will, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you tonight?
Okay, go ahead, Will.
Oh, hey, listen, tonight's Penguin game, the bottom 6, as you had said, could it be just due to the lack of chemistry that they're not getting that much production?
Yeah, I mean, it's only been 4 games, so I'm going to preface everything I say by that because I think even this power play, which has not been good, given all, but if you look back to last year, to Chris's point, it was a lot of elite players, all destined for the Hall of Fame, and they still finished middle of the pack. So at some point, I threw this out a while ago, and I forget who it was, kind of laughed at this, but if you're going to have Jeff Carter on your team, why not just throw him in front of the net on a power play? If he's going to take a spot, then just say, okay, sit there. Your hands should still be good at this age. You may not be able to skate as well, Chris, but they don't try anything different in my view. It's always the same stuff with them.
It's role definition. It's like basketball's not the perfect analog, but it's like if your 5 best players were all power forwards, just objective best players, and you sent 5 power forwards out, a team would find a way to carve you up because they'd just be too fast for you. Like the Penguins, I think, fall in love with, we've got to basically put just about our 5 best offensive players on the top power play without any kind of sense of feel or fit. So I think that's a problem. I remember when I heard that Carter idea, maybe you were the one who told me, Bob, I didn't think it was that outlandish. I thought it was so crazy it just might work. To Will's point, the caller Will there, about the bottom 6, like I get it. They're going to be asked more often than not to just be a good possession group, the fourth line to give energy, the third line, jack of all trades. But you've got to score a little bit. You can't just say, we're out here, we're the bottom six. Go look at those guys. They do all the heavy lifting and the goal scoring. Like, that best third line in hockey in 2009 could actually score goals, prevent goals, give you sandpaper, give you energy. That's what they need from that Eller line.
I agree. Sean Kramer on Twitter hits us up. He says, Pens may have overplayed their hand with Jari. 5 years, he's not winning games that he should win at times. It's the guys in front of him going long season, unfortunately, for 87-71. And then Douglas Berry on Twitter hit us up at KD Pomp, at Chris Mueller PGH. He says to have players who leave Pittsburgh and do better has been rare in the past, especially when the players not welcomed by fans, something not really working in Pittsburgh. Well, that's your point about Witherspoon. But I'll say this about Witherspoon. When he first came here, I thought he was really good too. And then the longer it went, the worse he got, which was the same thing that happened to him in Seattle. So I'm curious how long this lasts out there.
Sure, I mean, you can be. And with Dotson, his health was definitely a problem here. I don't think they loved. Jeff Hathorn made an interesting point with me today. He said that when you compare Dan Moore to Kevin Dotson, and it sure seems like Dan Moore, by the way, is going to start. I'm sure we can get into that either tonight or tomorrow, Bob, but it seems like he's got his job back, and it's going to be 1 week and done for Broderick Jones. It's very clear that they, as an organization and coaching staff, love the way Moore approached this offseason. And even though Kevin Dotson was 100% right to think there was no way he was going to beat out a guy they just signed for big free agent money, I think they hated the way that he talked frankly about that. And they look a little bit ridiculous now that he's gone somewhere else and he's just moving bodies. You want to talk PFF grades? That guy has like an 86 grade in the 3 games that he's played. That's basically elite all-pro level guard play.
Yep, and that's what they thought they had when they first brought him here, and he called the people mover, and he wasn't moving any people as things went on. Let's go to Ray in Whitehall. Ray, you're on the Nightly Sports Call. What's up?
Hey, yeah, I was listening on the radio, and I thought it was discouraging that Crosby once again had to get involved in those fisticuffs. I mean, he could get hurt. He could spend a lot of time in the penalty box. Why doesn't Sullivan step in and have somebody else take charge?
Well, that's why I went to Horn up here, by the way. And it wasn't so much fisticuffs. There was just stuff going on in front of the net, and that happens. And Malkin got into it, and he gave a face plant to somebody a couple of times. I forget who it was, one of their defensemen. But those two
Isn't
guys.
that what your energy guys are supposed to do, Bob? Those are your 2 best players.
Right.
Or those are your 2 franchise centers. Where are your energy guys? Like, where's Tyler Kennedy said this. He said, like, where's a Bobby Farnham type complete psychopath out there?
Well, Zahorn is 6'6". He weighs a lot. He could be that guy,
I know,
too.
but but I think it's a mentality. I don't think it's just like, where's this specific player who we've seen do this? Yeah, some of those guys become cult heroes. Where's the mentality among guys who are in that bottom 6 who are going to fly around even if it's not normally their game and just say, I'm going to make this messy for you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm going to be a pain. I'm going to be a pest. I'm just going to – it's a conscious decision in any sport, but especially in hockey, to say, I am going to go out there. I'm a third liner. I might be playing like 9 to 12 minutes or 13 minutes a game, and I'm going to play like my hair is on fire. And those guys on that bottom 6 right now don't seem to be doing that.
Yeah, it's like a clean version of Matt Cook or somebody of that nature who can go out there and just do things that make you take notice. And this is why, if you're going to go all the way back, who's the guy that now the name's escaping me? The guy who's not. He went with Vegas.
Give me a years. Give me the years.
No, Ryan Reeves. Ryan Reeves. When Ryan Reeves was here, I liked Ryan Reeves for that. I still think he could play, at a 4th line level. Offensively, he's capable of score more goals than what we've seen from these guys. But my point is, you have guys like that. Ryan Reeves, I liked. Jim Rutherford brought him here for that same reason. It happened after a playoff run in which his elite players are getting whacked by Matt Niskanen and that kind of crap.
Go talk to. You got to go talk to Mike Sullivan about that. He couldn't stand Ryan Reeves.
Or Cole.
Ryan Reeves
Ian
was
Cole's
here.
Another tough one who I like.
Well, he didn't like Ian Cole because Ian Cole talked too much to the media. I think he gave too expansive of answers, and I think Mike was happy to move him out for that reason. At least that's what I always heard. But in Reeves' case, you know what he was really brought here to do? Square up against Tom Wilson and beat him, which he did, and which he did multiple. Like, he was the Wilson solver, and the head coach just thought he couldn't play hockey.
But he could.
So
he can. He's
Well,
still
yeah, I
playing.
think that's a blight on the head coach. You know, you go back to saying, where's the Zahornas? They set this lineup, and people could say that's Kyle Dubas, but it's also just as easily Mike Sullivan saying, these are the 12 I'm comfortable with, especially the bottom 6,
Right.
and being rigid to any kind of change. I think that's a reasonable inference to make, too, Bob.
Yep, I agree with it. But I thought it was already predetermined, and I think no matter if it was Sam Poulin playing his butt off, he wouldn't have made it either. Nobody makes it because you have veterans, and this is how this team is comprised. And if you want to get your opinion heard, don't forget to tune in to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call tonight at 10:35 on KDKA+. So give us a call at 412-575-2600. We do it every night after the 10 o'clock news. For CBS News Pittsburgh, I'm Bob Pompeani.